Hello and welcome back. It's Jenny here from Jenny Wren Floristry Arts and Crafts, and today we are going to look at how we're going to actually decorate our Christmas wreath base. The good thing is that we have our wreath base already made, and it's wonderful in that it's organic, it's sustainable, it can be reused year on year. So even after this Christmas period is over, you can take the greenery off, pack the willow wreath away, and all you need to do next year is just go and forage or get some greenery from your florist or whatever, and then just bind the greenery in the technique that I'm teaching you now. When you unpack your box, you'll find a selection of evergreen material and some dried material too. Before we start, we're going to prepare our greenery. So what you need to do is take the greenery that's been provided and just cut the greenery, I would say probably about the size of your hand. In this example, I'm just going to be using blackberries, so exactly the same, just trim them down and pop them in a bunch. You would more than likely be provided with red berries in your kit, but again, if you've got blackberries in your garden or any other berries or foliage that you think would look lovely, use it. Just gives your wreath a lot more texture and a lot more interest. And those for you who are lucky to live out in the country and along the hedgerows and things should be able to have a great source of free greenery. Do take care with some of the berries as they have rather sharp thorns. So it is a good idea, as with anything, just to take a little bit of extra care when you're coming and working with some of the materials. You will also be supplied with some teasels in your wreath kit. Again, these can be quite sharp, so please take care when using them in the little bunches that you're going to make. If any of the thorns remain, just take the back of your scissors and just run it along the stem, and I'll get rid of all the nasty thorns. We're going to start making the bunches now. Alright, so I like to work from right. As you can see, I've got the biggest bunch of evergreen that's going to create the most volume. Then I've got my cypress, and then I've got my berries here, and then I've got my twigs, and then I've got my teasel. So, going to take a bit of greenery here, and all you're going to do is a fan shape, okay? Going to take your bit of cypress here, little bit of berry, and perhaps a little bit of the mossed twig. And once you're happy with that, you're going to have your wreath ready with your wire that's attached, and you're simply going to bind it on the base of the wreath. So there's your wreath there, and take your wire around the stems. I would suggest doing it about 3 times. That's 1, 2, really pull it, and 3. Right, that's the first one done. And you simply repeat this pattern again. I'm going to alternate between the black and the red berries. You can alternate with different foliage that you have, for argument's sake, like the rosemary or the box. But effectively, you're just going to build up these bunches. Again, taking the greenery again, get a nice big bit of greenery on the bottom, because this is going to serve as your base. Again, with the, would be my staple. I would say. Always use your cypress or your lush foliage, because that's going to create the richness. And then for your features, your berries. I used the blackberries last time. I'm going to use the red berry here. I'm going to continue with the this time I'm going to actually include the teasel. So this is where it comes important. I've got my bunch here. We need to lay it on top, but you don't want to layer it right on top there, because you're going to need so much greenery to continue all the way around the wreath base. Equally, you don't want to lay it too far down, because you're going to see a gap. So you're gently going to overlap it. I would say just eyeball it, okay? Secure it to the wreath base, and then again, you're just going to bind it around. If for argument's sake one of them is too long, it's not a problem, just cut it down. And again, 3 times. 1, pull it tight. 2, that's just securing it. And 3, just going to make sure that it doesn't move. And this is really important, to bind it effectively. If you want, you can even, if you don't feel that you've got such a big bunch, wind it around again. And the reason why this is important, and I'll just put the camera up here, is because this greenery is going to lose moisture, and as it loses moisture, it dries out, which means that it's going to actually shrink. So if your greenery is not tight to the base, it's going to fall out. And if you're going to put it on a door, obviously the opening, shutting the door, etc. So this part of the process is really important, but this is laying down the foundation of your wreath. So make sure that you are using the tension of the wire and the wire reel. Pull it between your fingers and away from yourself, and making sure, you can also give it a little bit of a shake, making sure that it's absolutely secure. And that's what we're going to do continuously all the way around the wreath. So one thing I'll mention also with your focal points, in this case the teasel, is if you're going to be using them, you might use them in every 3rd bunch. So it might be worth just having a look at your wreath, and when you get to perhaps 1/4 past, 1/2 past and 1/4 that's where you put your feature focal point, because otherwise you're not going to have any space for the cones, the oranges, and it's just going to be too busy. I'm at my halfway point now. It's starting to really look fabulous. How about yours? Life got in the way, so I'm only just picking up where I left off from yesterday. If that happens to you, don't worry. All you need to do is just wrap your greenery in a red towel, or cover the greenery in the red towel, obviously not the dried material. I'll be fine to pick up in the morning. So I'm almost at the end of the wreath now. I've got one little space left, and I'm going to make my last little bunch that is going to go in between to create the entire process. My table is looking rather sparse, but that's absolutely fine. Use all the little bits to make your last few bunches. Waste not, want not, and you can still get a fairly big bunch out of the little pieces. So don't worry, as long as the greenery is secured to the base by the wire, and as I say, you can wind it around a few times until you are happy with it, then that's absolutely fine. Right, I've got the last bit of red berry here, and I need my little bit of twig here. Okay, so just going to draw it closer. As you can see, the last little bit here, just pop it in, and then just wire it down. It's going in between and trying not to catch the other greenery. If you want to do, if there's still a bit of a hole, what you can do is just poke a few more bits of greenery in here, so that there's definitely no gaps or anything like that. Then come around with your wire again and secure those. The only thing you try not to do is just flattening the greenery down so there's not an obvious hole, and then you can make sure it's all secure. That looks good now. You can't see that there's any holes or anything. And then just come round to the back. Leave a length if you want, just so that you can. So what I would do here now is just thread it through some of the other wire so that it doesn't unravel, and it makes sure that it stays nice and secure. There we have a lovely, gorgeous, vibrant, traditional Christmas wreath. They say that this is the season to be jolly. Well, this is also the season to be sneezy. I do apologize. This video has been recorded in November, and with the change of the seasons and such like, I'm just really battling the congestion. So I do apologize in advance for this lovely nasal twang. But I'm sure you can understand what I'm saying. So without any further ado, we will continue. For those of you who've got a glue gun, you might want to go and get that warmed up. We're going to start decorating with cones and orange pieces. If you don't have a glue gun, that's not a problem. I will show you how to wire them in. When I come to this section of decorating the wreath, I think it's important to place them on without wiring or gluing them initially. So I like to just, you know, pop them on. I like to use 2 oranges at a time. I think it creates more impact. You can use 1 at a time. It doesn't really matter. It's a personal preference. But I just like to lay things on the wreath just to make sure that, you know, they're nice and balanced and there's not too much in one area. And equally with the cones, I like to do that. I like to just place things, and then you haven't made a change that's irreversible. So if you don't like it there, you can move it around. And once you're happy with it, then by all means start placing them in the place that you'd like them there permanently. Okay, so I've got my glue gun fired up. I mean, I'm sure there's no real instructions that I have to give here. The only thing I would say, if you're not used to a glue gun, the smaller ones get very, very hot very, very quickly. And there's many a burnt fingers, I'm sure, that have resulted in an overzealous application of glue. So you simply need a small piece. I'm really quite lucky here. I've got a cordless one, and I find that it regulates the temperature a lot better than the smaller ones. But the ones from smaller ones from Hobbycraft and all those things are absolutely fine, but they just they get hot very, very quickly. So all you need to do, very simply, open a little space in your wreath. Make sure you get contact with a good secure point, because if you just attach it to the greenery on the top, for argument's sake, it's going to fall. So find your place and then just nestle it in there, hold it for a couple of seconds, and then you can release them. Equally with the oranges. So if I'm going to use 2 oranges, initially I'm just going to stick the 2 together, and then I'm going to have them up. So there's a little bit of prep work there. Just stick them together like that. And then, yeah, if you stick them flat, you can do so. I don't know, just for this time, I think I'm going to, I think it's it's quite a full wreath, so I quite like them. I'm standing up, yeah. Right. And if you're like me, you'll forget where you put them. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that's that done. For those of you who haven't got a glue gun, not a problem. You can use your real wire and just cut a piece off. And for the base of the cone, you get all different kinds of cones, but effectively what you're going to do is you're just going to thread the wire at the back, secure it, and twist it just a few times. You can simply nestle it amongst the greenery and tie it around the back. turn it over if you want to. And snip it off. When it comes to wiring the oranges, take a reasonable length of wire, place it through the orange segments, tougher than I thought actually, which is good. It means they're good quality. There you go. Just twist them at the top like that so they're together. And then leave your wire open either side, the side where you're going to place it on the wreath, and wire it on. You have been provided with a long length of twine, knotted at the end. Then you're going to simply loop it through the wreath, and then it's perfect for hanging up. So decide where you want to hang it. Here is the final wreath that I've made from the materials that I have provided for you in your Christmas wreath making kit. I hope you've enjoyed the experience, and I've certainly enjoyed creating this with and for you. Don't forget, you can personalize it to your own heart's content. For argument's sake, I had some buddleia in the garden and I've sprayed it gold, and it will be so easy to poke some gold twigs or even some teasel that I sprayed gold through, baubles, fairy lights, Christmas ribbon, whatever. This is your wreath that's going to reflect your personality and your colour scheme for your home. Merry Christmas, everybody, and thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you all again sometime soon in the future.